Mileena here, and yeah, while I'm getting ready for work. This is semi-late, but I still wanted to do it to feel like I did everything, because I'm a completionist, but a major procrastinator. Yesterday it was a very long day involving lots of midterm projects and shit, so while I finished all of my reading and did the Instagram post, I didn't do the challenge for today. And you can tell this is unorganized because I didn't even bring the book to hold right here. But yes, today for day 7, it's Ariel's challenge, and it's for your favorite book, like just a story about your favorite book in general. For most people who know me, this is probably like a repetitive thing. But my favorite book of all time, probably not my favorite, like, oh, this is the best 5 out of 5 intricately woven story ever, but just this is the most important book I've ever read in my life to me, and I've reread it and reread it, and I have like a tattoo for it and whatnot, and it's a book that, you know, like Ariel said, made me realize that reading could change my life in some sort of way. And that is City of Bones. Technically, my favorite book of all time is City of Lost Souls, because that's my favorite of the series. But City of Bones is one where, when I move from place to place, even if I can't bring a lot of stuff with me, I make sure I bring my first copy of City of Bones I got when I was like 11. When I was visiting New York, and visiting my grandma, who now lives in Georgia, and we live together here, she took us to the bookstore, and she told me to pick out some books, and I already had some put aside, and then I seen on like a summer read table thing, City of Bones there, and I was like, ooh, a half-naked man with tattoos. Of course, this is intriguing to my 11-year-old self. And so I picked it up, and I'm like, oh, but I already have a lot of stuff. This is probably too much to add on to it. And she's like, no, get it. And I ended up reading like almost the entire thing on the plane ride home, and at that point I was just in love with it, completely in love with it, and yeah. It's the best thing in the world. It was one of the first fantasy books I've ever read that has queer characters in it. I think the second book I've ever read that has queer characters in it, and I loved that it had strong women, and it had that experience that people have with Harry Potter. I've never read Harry Potter, so I never had that. You know, the Mortal Instruments and the whole Shadowhunter Chronicles was that for me, and that's why I'm still a dedicated fan that's eagerly awaiting like the 27th book that ties into the whole series, and I love it so much. I loved the movie. It had its issues, but I still appreciated it, especially when watching Shadowhunters, which is fine, but you know, I have merchandise for it. I'm constantly looking up stuff. I'm behind because I haven't read the Dark Artifices, but City of Bones was just something where you can feel your life changing as you're reading it, and people might not feel that way with City of Bones, but I feel that way with that book. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I love that book. Whenever there's somebody who's either a reader or not really a reader, but they want a recommendation for a book, I kind of shove it on everyone, and I'm like, this book, yes! That plot twist was one of the first times I've ever read a book with a plot twist, and it made me feel so surprised. I didn't know I could feel like that shocked while reading something. Just any array of emotions you can get while reading, I experienced it with City of Bones, and yes, I am thankful to Cassandra Clare for creating that, and it's my favorite book. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe and all of that jazz. If you want to keep seeing my face and hear me talk about books. Bye!